good fam? Instrumentalities on that we good again. And we flipping out like the end of my brim. Trying to get that good, so I throw in the fin. Getting it in, living it win, reminiscing. We could give a fuck about tomorrow's begin. So we at Water Tower till they think that we residents. Posted on walls like Facebook messages.
Guess who's back? So you're probably not asking, Geek, where have you been the last month? What's with the new look? Why don't you upload more? And those are all great questions. Too bad I don't have an answer for them.
Ayo, what the fuck?
But in all seriousness though, I needed to take a break for a lot of reasons. One of them being a rebrand. As you can see here, this year is host to a few changes on the channel, mostly new art and stuff. I wanted a bit of a refresher content-wise, especially when it came to topics on the channel and how I make those videos. YouTube is largely a place with lots of different people and topics of video, and in order to keep myself happy with the platform, changes like these help from stuff like burning out. Now let's get down to business. Owl House, found family, let's go. I made it no surprise that I really enjoy the Owl House as a series. The story, the characters, the world, and a lot more. Hell, I'd be lying if I didn't say that one of the reasons this video exists is because of the last one doing so well. Being honest though, while that video did cover a lot of my bases with the series, it didn't cover them all. There still are a few topics regarding the show that I never really got to touch on in detail, which I'll be getting into with more videos in the future. One of those aspects being a pretty quietly forgotten one with the series as a whole. It's handling a found family. Found family can be defined as a trope that refers to a device in literature and media where a group of characters find themselves united in a family bond based on shared experiences, mutual understanding, and interpersonal connection. Even though this definition is pretty solid, I feel like these can refer to a lot of the bonds and dynamics in media. Student and master, brotherly and sisterly tropes, even unlikely groups can fit into the found family framework. The way I see it, a found family dynamic can be broken into a few parts in order to be fully recognized. A sense of belonging, finding an identity, having acceptance, and of course, the unit as a whole. You might not see it at first, but these are the type of characteristics that can be found throughout the Owl House with the different groups each of our main trio meets. Before anyone starts typing up a storm about it, no, this video won't include a 30-minute rant on how Lumity was what the show needed. God knows there's enough videos talking about those two as is. When I do mention found family in this video, we're going over the different dynamics found throughout the show's seasons, cause like I said, it can be through a number of different ones. So in order to make this video easier to follow, I've taken the liberty of breaking this down into 3 essential parts so that we can go into detail about them. Our main trio, the Hexsquad and their journey as a whole, and the parental figures of the Owl House. So, let's get right to it, shall we? This is...
I don't fit in at home. You don't fit in here. If I stay, we could not fit in together.
In the last video on the Owl House, I went into a surface level talk about each of our main characters. In all honesty, it is one of the toughest parts to talk about them in full detail, because the way they represent themselves in the series as a whole does speak more volumes than I could ever do in 10, 50, or maybe even 100 videos. But that doesn't mean I can't try. When it comes to the dynamic of the trio, it does truly represent the evolution of other trios from media of the same caliber, like Powerpuff Girls and our trio from the Harry Potter series. Trios like these hold a level of importance within main characters. Sure, there are examples of a main character standing out on his or her own merits, but more enjoyability, especially in Disney shows, have come from the more ensemble-related casting. Your Gravity Falls, your Amphibia, your Big City Greens, and more. This is where I'd pin Owl House's main trio within the series. The saying that echoes throughout the series, "Us weirdos need to stick together," is very much present throughout their appearances within the show, and rewatching episodes just further proves that. I swear, to this day, it's crazy to think about the character development that got written for Luce that also makes connections to Ida, like trying to figure out what types of tracks she wanted to learn at Hexside, or the type of witch she wanted to end up as. Similar to her mentor, these things weren't figured out in the span of a day or a few days, but were chosen due to circumstance and timing. When I do say that Luce is the bridge that has our main trio have more in common than at the start of the series, there's tons of evidence and examples that point towards it. It's because of her ambition that Ida sees enough of a justification justified reason to why she steals palistrom wood for her to carve into her own talisman, and it's also that same ambition that allows for King to have the courage to have his last government name changed to Clawthorn. Sure, in the beginning these three would start off having nothing, absolutely nothing in common, but with the continuation of episodes it starts to slowly reveal those similarities to us, the audience, and by the end of the series they do form that connection to body, mind, and spirit. It's what makes that final battle against Bellows feel almost complete, since we've seen each of our characters blossom into what the Isles and the events that transpired in it has changed them into.
Come on, Ida. You know where magic comes from. From the heart!
Another thing that makes their bond and dynamic so believable is also the collective loneliness that each of them exhibits when first seeing them. You have to keep in mind that what initially bonds these three together is the fact that in the grand scheme of things, at least in the beginning, no one really understands them or at least try to and fail. Hell, it's even one of Luce's whole arcs throughout the series. From the first season alone, it does establish a connection when it comes to this. Luce's struggles finding companionship and connection in the human realm, Ida's forced social exile that comes with her owl curse, and King's struggles of not being taken seriously in the realm because of his features. As disturbing as it sounds, characters like our main trio are defined by the tragedies they've been through. Seeing events play out in episodes like Them's the Breaks Kid, Echoes of the Past, Keeping Up Appearances, and Knock Knock Knocking on Hootie's Door are prime examples of this. We see what types of turns, whether a big development or a small hint of what's to come, turns our Ida into the wild witch we see at the start of the series, and King into the demanding energetic demon he becomes.
Is it okay to still call me king? Feels kind of weird when I'm not the king of anything.
Well, you'll always be king of my heart. That's good enough, right?
Yeah. Good night, Luce.
Mwah.
Of course, that sense of belonging does come to show itself when Luce shows up. Almost immediately from the first episode, Luce manages to find a place almost as different as her, Ida finds people that not only rely on her, but she can rely on like family, and King finds a sense of importance with him eventually coming to see Luce and Ida like a sister and mom that would do anything for him. And all these are all the more apparent in episodes like O Titan, Where Art Thou, and The Intruder. Episodes that further help push this idea that these three not only depend on one another, but finally feeling that their situation has made them feel like their stories would have ended a lot differently had they not met. This type of development in such little time is probably why I don't really see the Owl House getting the Steven Universe future treatment. You know, aside from obvious stupid execs being stupid reasons. From a writing standpoint, you could continue the journey of these characters for sure, but you'd need to carefully make sure it doesn't trip over any of the established character development from the last series, while also having the characters further grow and realize that their journey truly isn't over. It's a hard balance to hit, especially twice. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Let fellow creator Your Average Avery tell you what it's all about.
Are they your surrogate frog family? Did they find you and take you in? Oh, I love the found family trope!
Couldn't have said it better, Marcy. Couldn't have said it better. Hey, what's up? I'm Avery, aka Your Average Avery, and today I'm going to be talking about the impact of found family and what makes it such an important part of The Owl House. The Owl House is a show that explores a variety of different themes: grief, self-acceptance, neurodivergence, loneliness. Those are just to name a few. However, one of the themes that I think this show explores especially well is the theme of found family. When exploring the concept of found family, at first glance it may just seem like a group of people who just happen to get along really well. However, I think it's a lot more than just that. Found family is being chosen. It's someone or a group of people seeing your baggage, your flaws, and choosing to love you regardless. They support and accept you for who you are. They help you be the best version of yourself and want the best for you, but don't abandon you on your bad days. They choose to hear you, they choose to see you. And The Owl House explores this concept quite well in my opinion. All of the main characters that eventually come to form the found family within the show all come from pretty different backgrounds. Some don't really have much stuff in common, some are very contrasting personalities, so at first glance it may seem like some of the characters wouldn't get along with each other. And yeah, that does happen at first with some of them. However, one of the main things that eventually ends up bringing them all together is that each of them know what it's like to feel like an outcast and to be treated as an outcast, to be looked down upon, whether that be by society, classmates, or family. For example, Lise was treated as an outcast back in the human realm. People in her school viewed her as the weird kid, and so she was made to feel different and like there was something wrong with her. Ida was treated as an outcast for choosing not to join a coven, so a lot of people looked down on her for that, and she was also made to feel ashamed about her curse and like she had to hide it from everyone. King felt like an outcast because he never truly knew what or who he was. Up until the episode Echoes of the Past, he thought that he was the king of demons, but after finding out that he's not the king of demons, this causes him to break down and feel like an outcast. And even though we don't always see him overtly express that he feels like an outcast, deep down he most likely did feel like one when it came to the topic of identity and sense of herself. So like I said earlier, despite these characters' differences, the one main thing that eventually brings them all together is that they all know what it's like to be treated as outcasts and to feel like outcasts. And throughout the show, we see each of them help and support each other with those various different things. King and Ida help Luce to feel more confident in herself and show her that she deserves to be happy and that she shouldn't feel ashamed about who she is or about her nerdy hobbies and interests. Luce and King help Ida to be more open with people and less reclusive. They fully support and accept her choice to not join a coven. They also don't suddenly start treating her differently or looking down at her once they find out about her curse, and continue to love and support her. Luce and Ida help King to feel less alone. They show him that he's somebody worth knowing and that he's not a nobody. And yeah, both of them lying to him for so long about him being a king of demons and not telling him the truth was not good. However, after learning from their mistakes and apologizing to King, Luce and Ida are then able to support King and be there for him whilst he tries to find out more about his identity and who he really is. Luce, King and Ida all help each other to be the best versions of themselves. A lot of their individual character developments happen because of one another, and their fan family dynamic is one of the many things that made me want to keep watching the show. There are many other shows that also incorporate some sort of fan family dynamic into them. However, the relationships between the characters in some of those shows sometimes feel a bit forced and unnatural, and like the writers just added a fan family just for the sake of it. But with the Owl House, the fan family dynamic always felt natural and not forced, and I think the writers did a really good job at incorporating a fan family dynamic that both helped the characters to grow and change, but also helped advance the storyline. And that's what I think makes the fan family dynamic such an important and integral part of the Owl House. That's pretty much all I have to say. Thanks so much to GeekToons for inviting me to be a part of this video. I really appreciate it, and bye for now.
Get ready to tap your feet as DTV brings you music videos for the whole family. And now for a great moment in Disney history.
What? I don't need a security escort.
Did you hear that, Gus?
Yeah, no, I guess we'll have to go home. Well, it's been fun. See you around, Luce the Human.
The second reason to why the Owl House works so well. To my surprise, very few have talked about how well the Hexsquad works as a unit. But like I said in the last Owl House video, one of the aspects that really made me appreciate this special are the dynamics of the entire Hexsquad. It's something that honest to God deserves a video from me, cause it's such a well made one. Well, here we are. In all honesty, I do get the feeling that the Hexsquad is something that the fandom itself never really gave flowers to, which at first glance when looking at the main focuses of the series kind of makes sense. But at the same time, there are points throughout the series episodes that gave hints that they were supposed to take more of a focus at some point. I mean, you got Lumity, the main trio, the Day of Unity, Coven Heads, the mystery behind Rain Whispers, the mystery behind the Widowbanes, and everything else. With the situation that was given to the team behind the show, there was bound to be some parts of the show left unexplored, one of them unfortunately being the Hexsquad. In my last Owl House video, I went into slight detail about Luce's ability to convince different people she's met to her side. In the same way us weirdos need to stick together is very present throughout the episodes where our main trio takes center stage, so too does it in episodes that have a heavy focus on our merry band of young heroes. Episodes that explore their strengths, weaknesses, but also how those strengths and weaknesses make them who they are, and overall what makes the Gang of Five work so well together by the end of the series. To me, there's a timeline of events that detail the evolution of the Hexsquad that centers around 3 areas of the show. Think of them like leveling up in a game of some sort. You start off with base level characters that don't have much in the way of movesets and power-ups, hence their struggles for the challenges ahead, but eventually with different quests and characters met, their skills improve and they eventually become almost unbeatable. So let's break down said timeline. And a good place to start would be the events surrounding one Miss Amity Blight.
I don't know, Gus. If Amity saw that... I saw that!
Throughout the first season, a lot of the episodes are mostly ones that have a heavy emphasis on the events going on at Hexsquad, or just in general around Luce's friend group. You name it. I Was a Teenage Abomination, Winged Like Witches, Really Small Problems. All these act as the bones that establish the Hexsquad, initially starting off as a regular Harry Potter-like trio. But I don't think anyone would disagree with me if I claim that a good chunk of season 1 does have its sights set on Amity. Yes, Lumity is established in this season, but keep in mind, before Luce showed up, Amity and Willow were content with either not speaking to each other or Amity being Willow's bully. But it's cause of events like understanding Willow and Winged Like Witches throughout season 1 that stage 1 of Hexsquad takes place. Both Amity and Willow are able to start mending their friendship. Of course, this does continue past season 1, but it's in this season that it's able to not only be established, but blossom into what it becomes later on, and thanks to them, where they even admit that their friendship wasn't always this strong.
It's like you're reading each other's minds. You must have been friends forever.
It wasn't always like this. These past few months have been weird, but look at all the new memories we have now. It's been nice to finally spend some time together.
But the re-establishment of this friendship with the help of Luce also made way for a lot of Amity's further character development and growth throughout the rest of the series, even in future episodes like Folly at the Coven Day Parade. Though it does go into some strange territory for the two. It does still show that while the two are on good terms, the friendship that they once shared in flashbacks seen in Understanding Willow is something that they can't just magically get back, ironically enough. But again, it's with the continuation of the series in episodes like Labyrinth Runners, like Eclipse Lake, that proves that the events leading to these episodes have had an effect on these two's friendship. And it's only in the last few episodes to cap off the series where it does feel like those struggles in communication have finally been resolved. These developments in the background help paint a picture of what was intended for the development of these characters. Whether intentional or not, I do love and appreciate it all the same. Born in grief, raised in hate, helpless to defy our fate. But that's not our only stop on the journey to understand the Hexsquad. There's also the Golden Guard himself.
What? You!
Hunter's a character like a lot of the cast I went into very little detail of myself. That's cause a lot of what I had to say was very base level, but also as much as I could say at the time, if that makes sense. But I do also believe that Hunter's introduction and journey in the outhouse is also instrumental to the development of the Hexsquad as a unit, especially during season 2. I still firmly believe that Hunter's own arc throughout the outhouse is one about identity. Similar to Luz, the both of them believe that they have an understanding of what they want to be, with Luz wanting to be the Boiling Isles' strongest witch, and Hunter for the longest time continuing to believe that he'll be the Golden Guard and Emperor Belos' right-hand man. That identity is what Belos used to groom Hunter into staying by his side and believing his actions are the right ones. It's what causes him to wave off and get all defensive when met with an unseen part of his uncle that isn't the wise witch that he was led to believe he was. These effects end up taking a really big mental toll on the guy after the events of Hollow Mind. The overwhelming fear and panic allows him to meet his real friends and allies, but much like Zuko from Avatar, it's because of his past actions that he was able to not only gain the trust of the Hexsquad, but be able to even be part of that team in the first place. Not even just that, but it does become quickly obvious that those quirks and patterns of behavior when he was still under Belos' thumb never quite went away, and as episodes go on in the For the Future special, it becomes more difficult for him to accept the help of other people without feeling like a burden to them. It's why Hunter's development is so interesting to me, because like I said last time, he's pretty much a child soldier who up until meeting Luce never really had the chance to go see what was really going on, and only being spoon-fed the propaganda Belos had ready for him, similar to the rest of the Isles. I feel like the fanbase needs to keep in mind that both Amity and Hunter at the beginning of their arcs are meant to be shitty people, characters that are meant to demonstrate that nothing is completely black and white in the world of the Boiling Isles. A lot of it is just grey, characters of varying morals that aren't always swayed by a simple act of kindness, but a small nudge, and even a small nudge is enough to get the ball rolling eventually. And nothing acts as the best example of all the Hexsquad's development more than the first of the show's 3 specials, thanks to them. But I think I'll let someone else take the wheel for this one. You're up, kid.
Oh my gosh, I'm in a GeekTunes video? Let's go, yes! I've been waiting for this moment since 2021 and I honestly couldn't be more grateful for him letting me be in this video. But before my brain explodes with excitement, let's firstly establish what I'm even here to talk about for a summer minutes. It's no secret that I love the Owl House. I've said pretty much everything that I could have said as to why I love the show so much. Well, almost everything. You see, the last time I delved into this series, it was all the way back in June. And in that video, I didn't really go in depth about any specific episodes and just talked about Luce in general. And while I did kind of do that in a video that I made with my friend Avery, who's also in this video by the the way. This time will be different because I'm talking about a different topic. That topic being the Owl House and how it relates to found family, and specifically about one episode in particular thanks to them, and also a bit on how I personally relate to it. So now that I've basically given away the entire premise of my part of the video, time to get to, well, the video, the actual part of the video. Alright, now let's kick this montage up to 11, let's do this! You could probably tell how giddy I am right now because this was a very long time coming. Thanks to them, released on October 15th, 2022. And just like I said before in Avery's video, I consider the fact that this episode aired 3 days before my birthday to be a gift from Dana Terrence to me personally, and I refuse to hear anybody tell me differently. No, I won't let this joke die. This episode is still to this day my favorite episode of the entire series, and one of the 1,000,010 reasons why I think so highly of it is because its handling of the found family trope. Found family is a trope as defined by Wikipedia as being the following, quote, a family of choice, also known as the chosen family, found family, kith or kin, or Hanai family, refers to a non-biological related group of people established to provide ongoing social support. Unlike a family of origin, a family of choice is based on chosen bonds, not biological ones. And as the Wikipedia definition suggests, this trope goes by other names like chosen family or family of choice, but they all refer to the same thing. So with that admittedly kind of long definition out of the way, we can now see how that definition fits the Owl House, and specifically thanks to them. Firstly, let's look at the situation that Luce finds herself in at the start of the series. She's a misfit that doesn't fit in, has little to no friends, has her head in the clouds almost half the time, and also probably almost burned down the school on multiple occasions. I mean, come on, who among us hasn't done that? Oh, it's just me? Oh. Okay. Alright then. But the point is that she's in a pretty unfavorable situation during the start of the show. And right away this is a very relatable part of Luce's character for me, and it's something that works its way into the found family trope. This thing where Luce feels like she has nobody to turn to and feels lonely even when she's in a sea of people because of said people not understanding her is something that hits very close to home for me and a lot of other people. And it's only when Luce encounters Ida for the first time and starts to bond with her that we see her come out of her shell more, and start to feel like there's people out there that understand her. And throughout the series we see this evolve further when she meets the Hexsquad. And upon forming this group, they all begin to fill in each other's gaps and help each other grow, and support one another all the way up to the events of thanks to them. And that right there is the essence of found family. The strengthening of bonds through shared experiences, supporting each other through hard times and good old-fashioned quality time, and the synergy that comes from that is what this trope is built upon. And come thanks to them, we see the Hexsquad act as a well-oiled machine. Even without the friend group leader, Luce, they can still function, which actually dispels the notion that I had that the friendship was only paper thin, and that with Luce out of the picture they'd crumble, but no. Even with Luce gone, they still function as a team, which speaks to the bonds that they developed over time. But despite that, I know that behind the scenes, if any of them disrespect the friend group leader, they'd be the first to die. But that's just my theory. Actually, never mind, that's too soon. But moving on from all that, we see how well the group operates in both good and hard times. We see them bounce off of each other, confide in one another, help each other through their struggles, and inspire each other to be who they really want to be. We see this with Hunter throughout the episode, and through him we can see the benefits of found family. He says it himself in the episode, I'm not who I'm supposed to be, but I like who I am right now. That right there exemplifies to me the positive effects of found family. We see this again during the fight with Bellows later on in the same episode. Well, not only was I the unworthy witness of one of the greatest bits of Western Sakuga I've ever had the privilege of seeing, but we also see them bounce off of each other in combat and fight as a unit. And when it's all said and done, we see them come together and console Hunter after the loss of Flapjack. It was these displays of synergy, camaraderie, and bonds that come from found family that I can really relate to. I'm sure most of us can relate to having that one crazy group of absolute losers that we can't stand to be apart from, and that's because they might be weird, but at the end of the day, they're gonna have your back no matter what. This episode kinda came at a very interesting time in my life where I was losing a lot of stuff and things were crumbling around me, but even in that I still had a found family that was there for me just like Hunter's was for him. All that I really have left to say is that if you haven't already watched Thanks to Them or the Owl House in general, literally what are you doing with your life? Please go watch it, it's so good. Also Stan Marceline Abadir from Adventure Time. That's a wrap, folks.
Hey, no discounts, buddy.
You guys owe me! There's nothing happening in this show!
Not a single one of those dumb kids have gotten hurt yet.
Dumb kids? Wait. Those are my dumb kids!
You know, it's hit me how much the dynamics and different teams/sides of the Owl House correlate and intertwine with each other the more the series presses on. And this was after the series ended. Imagine being a fan watching these episodes come out one after the other. Anyways, I feel this video wouldn't be complete without giving mention to the parents of the Owl House. More specifically, the parents and parental figures of the Owl House. The mentors and senior help that stay apparent throughout their cameos and such as the series episodes continue. These side characters, though kept to a few small appearances, are super influential to the development and also grounding of our characters. Mentors are there to help certain ones keep a sense of belonging and also act as an extension as to where the ability and style of which they do things is from. Similar to how a show like Naruto would do the same thing between its mentor and student characters. Parental figures of course offer some sort of safety, but also an idea as to where they come from. And characters I can't really place in either of these categories like Rain Whispers also help a ton carrying the idea of our characters growing and changing, evident with how much Rain has appeared so much in Ida's life before the events of the show. They may not show up as much as the other members of the cast that I mentioned previously, but that doesn't mean the little they do appear in doesn't matter. To this day, I wished we got more of the members of Emperor Belos' head witches, because the few we get to see actually interact are super fun. Someone like Darius honestly could have been a good parental figure to Hunter, and could have been utilized more to actually give Hunter another sense of belonging in the Boiling Isles rather than just a few scenes here and there. But what can you do? And honestly, as much as I could go on and on about something like this, I decided to bring in another fan of the show and expert on the parents of the Owl House. So here's my friend, Mr. Big Bro Tunes.
Hey yo! Finally, back on the Geek Tunes video, baby. Alright, so my name is Kang of Big Bro Entertainment, a brother, your mom's lover, and especially your daddy's worst enemy. So that's why I'll be talking about the parents or parental figures of the Owl House for a quick second. Starting off, we got Ida the Owl Lady. Not much has to be said that the show and other folks haven't talked about already. She's an adventurous, loud, and very rebellious witch, not wanting to be tied down to a couple and simply doing her own thing, on some ultimate Spider-Man shit. God bless her for it though, she generally cares about the people around her, including her sister Lilith, and especially Luce and King. Despite her actually being a wanted criminal in the beginning, Ida has become one of the most loving and important parental figures in Luce's life. Next you have Udalia and Aldor Blight. I'll mostly be talking about Udalia, but let me get Aldor out of the way real quick. Bro is an autistic and tired man who clearly has other interests than his wife, originally coming off as rather sinister himself, but clearly more level-headed compared to Udalia when it comes to the family business. However, he shows that he genuinely cares for his family, and especially his children, with how much he is shown to care about Amity, specifically in the episode Reaching Out and Clouds on the Horizon, where he had a complete turnaround and becoming one of the best dads in the show. Love him for it. And then there's Udalia. Oh boy. Bro, she is a monster. On God, she is the absolute worst. She is manipulative, sinister, and always trying to gain power by any means necessary. Even at the cost of her own family. This bitch is evil. Honestly, her being voiced by Rachel McFarlane really drives home the fact that how conniving she is, and there is absolutely no redeeming her. She is evil from start to finish. Woman so foul, when you type her name in Google search, the first thing that pops up is her villain wiki page. She is that evil. Fuck this bitch. But at the same time, yeah, this woman is stacked up. Having 3 kids really shows with that physique. Listen, bro, listen. I can't promise you I'll fix her outdoor, but I could rearrange some things. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, bro? But yeah, no, Udalia is terrible. And a terribly kicked up mother, know what I mean? Anyways, finally, we saved the best for last. Camila Noceda, Luce's mama. The one that arguably started all. Now, before I get into her, let's talk about the fandom for a second. Originally, the fandom was in an uproar with how much they claimed Camila was a terrible mother and was trying to send Luce to a conversion camp. Like, bro, what the fuck are you on? Especially with how loving and accepting she is of her daughter in season 2 and onward? Man, you stupid. Anyways, Camila is one of the best and closest thing to a realistic mother in the series. Now, what do I mean by that? She's kind, but stern, loving, and passionate. She can say the wrong things, but the fact that she apologized for it is another. As well as the fact that she's accepting of others. She took in a creature from another dimension who had taken her daughter's identity for months now. This is usually the story of an analog horror, but nah, Owl House don't roll like that. Except in the original pitch, pretty much Camila does it all for her daughter, and the other kids as well. opening up her home to them when they had nowhere else to go and they had to go back to the bowling house to save everyone. She goes in regardless of the outcome to protect those children as if they were her own. Camila is pretty much the best parent in the Owl House. Is she sexy? Yes. Hell yeah, she is. Look at that Latina haircut, bro. Oh my god. But aside from that, Shawty is simply a wonderful parent and honestly might take Nicole Williams' rank as the #1 mom. But that's a story for another day. Oh yeah, there's also those other parents. There's like Willow's parents. I've never seen Gus's parents. I don't even think I remember them showing up, honestly. They're there. Yeah, I'm running out of shit to say for the parents after that. Anyways, thanks for having me, Geek. I'll be back, though. I always come back. Alright, I'm out of here. Peace out. Also, spoilers, but King's dad was pretty base, too. He kind of reminded me of Jack Black.
It's great to know how much of a unique role found family and dynamics play in the Owl House. With a show that's been sabotaged by its own network as much as this show has, I never knew if I would talk about it again in any capacity, but here we are just a few months later. Looking at them now, dynamics are more integral to the overall scope and story that the show has. Its characters are the story's driving force, so of course how those characters interact would also end up holding as much importance, and I'm glad I was able to break that down here today. Anyways, I want to thank the crew of people that helped make this video possible. Big Bro Tunes, Otaku Loaf, and Your Average Avery. All are unique content creators pretty much doing their own thing, and without them this wouldn't have been half as entertaining to make. I'm used to being a solo act most of the time now, but it's nice to be able to bring along other fans of the show and get a look into specific topics. Something I do wish to do in the future if I do end up covering this or any other series. Also, in case you haven't noticed, I've been given a new look. This new design for my stills was made by the one and only Waffle Syrup, a great artist who does a ton of cool character designs. We workshopped this one together and it came out really well. All his socials are down below. 2024 is going to be a different year for the channel, and I can feel it. And I hope you're ready to join me on it. See you in a month.